we'll maybe wait for 1 more minute as a lot of other participants are joining in, and we'll start in a minute. So yeah, don't worry if you don't hear anything. We're just waiting for 1 or 2 more minutes to before we start. Yeah, I think we should get started, and we're already, it's already 6 minutes past 7, so we will get started. So a very warm welcome to all the attendees who've joined today's webinar, and we are sure that you are excited to know more about e-postgraduate diploma in e-mobility, which is offered by IIT Bombay. And the agenda, of course, for this session is to know more about this e-postgraduate diploma. Of course, hear from the faculty present from IIT Bombay to understand more about what this e-postgraduate diploma offers, what it entails, what are the courses, how do they stack together. And the idea is to understand, of course, how this is this e-postgraduate diploma can work well for some of you, and how it can be the next step in your learning journey, in your career journey. And also, of course, we hope that this discussion helps you make that decision in terms of whether this is the right fit or not the right fit, so you can take an informed decision. And of course, feel free to ask questions. There's a Q&A window that you can use to post your questions, and we'll be answering the questions during the presentation as well. And of course, we have some time blocked towards the end dedicated to Q&A. So with that, we'll kick off today's session. Um, Today we have Professor Shiladri Chakrabarti from IIT Bombay joining us. He's an assistant professor with the Department of Electrical Engineering and has completed his PhD from IIT Kharagpur. Professor Shiladri is one of the faculty members who will be, teaching one of the courses in the C postgraduate diploma. And today we'll hear from him more about the entire program. So welcome, Professor Shiladri, to the session, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us. Uh,
Thank you, Mohit. Let me try to share my screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably should have received a sharing request.
I think you should be able to share directly. Um,
The host isn't allowing multiple sharing. Is the message I
okay, let me stop sharing, and then I think you can go ahead after that. Uh, so yeah, quickly I'll just maybe take 20 seconds to introduce myself as well. So my name is Mohit. I'm an associate director with the Great Learning team, and to the folks who are present, I'm sure you've at some point of time have interacted with Great Learning. So Great Learning is the tech partner for this e-postgraduate diploma, and we work across different parts of uh, the registration process. And of course, once the program starts, we'll also be working on all the non-academic aspects of the program. So while faculty delivers the program, Great Learning will be responsible for all the non-academic aspects. So with that, I will hand over to Professor Shiladri.
Mohit, I
Yeah.
think because we have to go back and forth on the slides, I think it
Mhm.
might be better that you can stick with your slides, and because every time then I have to
Yes.
this, right?
I can moderate, not an issue.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
let me know whenever you want to go
right,
move to the
right.
next one.
So yeah, so yeah, you can go to the next
Sure.
slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good evening, good afternoon, or good morning if you're joining us from different parts of the world. First of all, I would say congratulations for your interest in this sort of program or course. Uh, the idea is, if you have, it is to make you more interested, or if you are sort of just, trying to find out more about what this program looks like and how it might be beneficial for you in the short and the long run. Through this webinar, we would want to sort of give you a glimpse into what the program looks like. So this EPGD program, postgraduate executive postgraduate diploma, as we would call it, is essentially, of course, coming from IIT Bombay. It's an IIT Bombay degree in that sense. It's virtual, online, with uh, physical, some physical component. Mohit will talk about that in detail later. But this is primarily an effort which came. We started thinking about this a year and a half back, when this the picture that you see on this slide is a physical lab that was set up about a year back, I think, at IIT Bombay, through the generous alumni 1973 batch. So it was the 50th year, of that particular batch's graduation. And they decided that they wanted to give back to IIT Bombay in some form, and they were looking at various technologies of interest to India and the world, things that India should, prioritize research and among them, EV was one of the things, and they finally decided to fund this, EV powertrain related research, and that is how this lab infrastructure came into existence. And this, following up on that, we decided that, while this is good for doing some research, cutting edge research in various areas of EV, and again, I'll talk about this in a minute. But the basic idea was, how can we sort of extend this, whatever we are starting to do, and actually, very recently we got a much bigger grant from the National Research Foundation to do more, more of this kind of work. But the idea was that, on the one side, we're doing fundamental research, cutting edge research. Can we also train workforce? Okay. Now, if you are, again, I don't think I need to overemphasize the need of learning about EV technology or just interest in EV. The very fact that you are here today means you are all aware that EVs are sort of gaining momentum worldwide. In India also, though, statistically, the entire fleet is not a very significant fleet of India's significant percentage of India's vehicle fleet is still EVs, but that is where there's a huge potential of growth. Okay, you have maybe you heard of government initiatives like FAME and government's goals, like we want to go to a certain percentage of electrification by 2030. So concurrent with that comes a lot of scope for industries, for jobs, and for skilled workforce and manpower at the introductory level, at the fresher level, but also various expertise is needed at management level, at policy level. So we felt that, therefore, it would be very good if you come up with an holistic program which gives you a glimpse of all forms of electric vehicle technology. Of course, it's a program offering from IIT Bombay, so it's mostly technical oriented. But as you can see, just at the bottom of this slide, which says the focus areas of work in this C1973 Power Lab, which is on EV powertrain components. Okay, so very loosely speaking, as I will also elaborate on today's, the course curriculum, it will, in an electric vehicle, there are primarily three, verticals of technology. I mean, there are many verticals, but if I'm looking at the powertrain side of it, then there are motors, which is the main propulsion machine. And there's power electronics, inverters, chargers, and so on. And then there are batteries, which is the primary source of energy. And then ultimately you need to drive the motor. And that happens through a lot of power electronics. So in these three key areas, we are doing research, and uh, you will also see that is where the curriculum is built on this course, is to give you a complete end-to-end flavor of all these three verticals. For example, We'll also talk about manufacturing in some sense. We'll also talk about policy and design of the vehicle overall. But you can see things like battery cells and battery packs and power electronics, which is a part of the research that we do here. And low cost manufacturing methods, which are consistent with India's needs and availability of raw materials and processes. And various all these things like power semiconductor technologies. Again, if you are new to this area and some of these terms appear relatively new to you, don't be overwhelmed, because the idea of this offering is to take you through this journey over a period of time. There are some core courses which we feel are core, absolutely mandatory knowledge for you to become to call yourself some sort of an expert in this domain. And then there are optional courses based on what you feel aligns well with your particular objective. So in some sense, today's session's goal is to give you a better idea of what those uh, core courses and curriculum looks like, and what those optional elective courses curriculum looks like. So I'll be talking about those in detail. We go to the next slide, Mohit, now. Yeah, so now you might be, if you got a little bit overwhelmed with that first slide, again, I mean, who is this EPGD for? Again, as I very briefly mentioned there, it is, in one sentence, it is for anyone who has the necessary interest in this technology. Of course, there has to be a certain amount of prior background that is, of course, needed for you to be able to appreciate the technical content that will be sort of covered. And we do that through the screening process, through the interviews. That's the way we gauge whether you will be able to of essentially succeed in this program. But you can see, it's basically recent graduates, early to mid career professionals, more seasoned industry and R&D professionals. Maybe you have deep expertise in one vertical, but you want to extend your knowledge in something else. Maybe you are a great battery chemistry person, but you want to understand better what are the advances in power electronics that are happening. If you might be a good power electronics person, but you want to understand what kind of advancements in motor design and motor drive are happening, and you probably want to understand how does the overall holistic design of the vehicle, how that should that dictate some of the design choices that we are trying to make. So entrepreneurs, if you are thinking of having a startup in any sort of, if you have some idea you want to get, or you already have some idea, want to develop your technical domain knowledge, then this is great, because this gives you an end-to-end view of spectrum of the entire technology. Academicians and educators, of course, this is course. So if you're trying to, this is probably one of the best goals for an endeavor like this. Like we go and train certain amount of people, and then they can go and just keep on doing it at their end. So the key learning outcomes, again, this is again sort of will sound a bit repetitive, but I have already sort of covered this. If you try to understand the basics, we'll go little holistic, understand the basics of various types of electric vehicle, vehicle dynamics. What does it require for a vehicle to be moving forward, and what are the various type of forces it experiences, and therefore what kind of, so the various types of sizing, how much, what size of battery and motor and power electronics do I need if I'm designing a particular vehicle, right? So that's a more holistic system level consideration. Then the battery is key to electric vehicle technology, which is why we feel that the battery knowledge about the battery is one of the core courses. Because if you look at the one of the reasons why electric vehicle technology was not feasible, and even now it's quite expensive actually, is a cost and the availability of the batteries. Okay, so therefore deep domain knowledge on various challenges and various technical innovations and fundamentals of what does it mean to be working with a battery in an electric vehicle. This is something that we deeply emphasize on, and you will have a very good understanding of that. Power electronics, again, now this is more, the last 3 or 4 bullet points are the more optional things, and again, this will be shown in detail in a while. But power electronics, motor drives, the motor is again the thing that ultimately runs your electric vehicle, but precise control of that motor is extremely vital to let's say accelerate or control the speed, to do whatever you want to do with your car. And then all this comes from some sort of process, manufacturing process, whether it be the motor or the various materials that go into the battery. So you would want to know about the manufacturing side of it. Okay, so again, if you're a chemical engineer, maybe you find it a little, or a background in chemical engineering or chemistry, you might probably find some of the things related to the battery easier to it'd be too easy for you, and maybe at some time, but maybe yeah, things on the motor side will be new, but these are all vital because we're trying to get a holistic understanding of the technology. Then there are things like design fundamentals, which I referred to, the aesthetics, the how do you sort of build models, prototype models of vehicles and things like that. So that comes under design. And very interestingly, electric vehicles now are looked as a grid interactive solution, which means that you ultimately, of course, are going to charge the vehicles from the grid. So the implications of that, thousands and thousands, lakhs and lakhs of EVs connected to the electric grid today, whether today's grid is able to, what are the challenges that the grid suddenly has to face? The power system, the electricity network that everything runs on. But there are excellent advantages and unique advantages that the electric vehicles offer in that respect also. We have heard about renewables. This is another thing that get talked about. But as renewables grow, then there are other technical problems that the future grid of the next generation grid will face. And as this particular electric course will talk about, is how an electric vehicle can possibly help to address some of those challenges, because an electric vehicle with its battery is something that's sort of an energy source that's connected to the grid. So you can actually help tomorrow's electricity grid through leveraging electric vehicle technology. So pretty futuristic, but if electric vehicles are going to become the reality, which they will pretty soon, then this kind of technology is, reasonably good understanding of this kind of implications of EV technologies is also essential if you want to get an end-to-end view of the total impact of EV technology. Next slide, I think Mohit, it's for you to talk
Yes.
about. Yeah.
Yes, I'll take this one. Thank you so much, Professor Ladri, for that overview and explaining all the outcomes. So is this for, I think that definitely helped folks understand this better. I'll take maybe another 2 minutes to quickly talk more about Great Learning. So folks, as I said, some of you would have interacted with someone from Great Learning, and if not, then you will interact with us over the course of next few days or months if you decide to proceed with this e-postgraduate diploma. So we are the EdTech partner who are working with IIT Bombay to deliver this. A couple of things about Great Learning. So we've been around for almost 11 years now. We've serviced almost more than 12 million learners across 170 plus countries, and we have delivered more than 388 million learning hours on our platform. We have one of the best course completion rates, of course, by virtue of the fact that we have very strong program managers that work with our learners to ensure that they stay on track and complete the courses on time, which allows us to have some of the best course completion rates across the industry. Backed by very strong ratings from our learner, 4.615, and of course supported by more than 7,000 industry mentors that work with us. Uh, we of course have academic partnerships with some of the world's leading universities, so Harvard, Johns Hopkins, MIT, IIT Bombay, Northwestern, Texas, Duke, Deakin, Great Lakes. We work with all these universities in different capacities to bring some of their best programs to the learners. And of course, with IIT Bombay, we do a couple of e-postgraduate diplomas. Of course, e-postgraduate diploma in e-mobility being one of them, and we are super excited to be bringing this to all of you and working with the faculty at IIT Bombay to deliver this program to you. In terms of roles, as I had mentioned, so the entire academic delivery, all the teaching aspects, all the sessions are conducted by the faculty. The Great Learning team is involved part of the process of the registration process for learners. And then once the learners register, then a program manager is assigned to them who helps them stay on track and also kind of be the their point of contact for any academic or non-academic concerns. Academic concerns are taken care by IIT Bombay, and the faculty and the TA networks and the student support that is present there. GL takes care of the Great Learning takes care of the non-academic aspects of the program, and of course, the program is delivered on Olympus, which is a learning management system developed by Great Learning. Moving on, I'll also talk about a couple of highlights about the e-postgraduate diploma. So, as I said, this is designed and delivered by IIT Bombay faculty through and through. So, throughout the program, you'll have online sessions with the faculty. Some of it could be live, some part of it could be recorded at times. But all in all, the entire design and delivery of the program is by IIT Bombay faculty. It's an online synchronous six-course curriculum designed for working professionals. Of course, all the classes and everything will be online. Folks will have to come to IIT Bombay campus at the end of every course slash semester to take the end term exam. And roughly the plan is for 3 semesters. So at the end of every semester, you'll have to come to the campus to exam. That also provides an opportunity for campus visit, to meet the faculty in person, to meet your peers as well. So that's how the entire e-postgraduate diploma is structured. As you clear each course, you will also be earning individual course credits, IT Bombay course credits, which can be saved in the academic bank of credits. What this means is that over the course of time, you'll have to take about 6 courses to earn the e-postgraduate diploma, which means 36 credits. And as you clear courses, these credits will be, so to say, deposited in the academic bank of credits. And once you reach 36, you can use these credits to get the postgraduate diploma. Another possibility is that you can retain these credits, not get the postgraduate diploma, but then apply for higher education programs at, let's say, some other university which accepts IIT Bombay credits. So that's also a possibility. So in this way, you'll be able to leverage some of the effort slash time that you've spent on this e-postgraduate diploma and use it for other higher education programs as well. uh, Once the entire offering culminates in an in-person graduation at IIT Bombay campus, and all the successful graduates of e-postgraduate diploma are conferred with an alumni status from IIT Bombay. In addition to that, folks also get access to IIT Bombay's lateral hiring group. It's a group where all the IIT Bombay alumni are present, and as and when any job opportunity comes in, it's posted and people can take it up from there onwards. Of course, this is separate from the on-campus placement center, placement office, because that's for on-campus students. For the graduates of this postgraduate diploma, they'll be added to a group, and then they can take on the job opportunities that come there. And of course, IIT Bombay and the placement office doesn't support them throughout the process. The idea is to just bring the opportunities to the folks. And of course, you will have personalized assistance with a dedicated program manager from Great Learning who will be with you throughout the journey. And the sole purpose of having a program manager is to ensure that you stay on track and you complete all the courses on time, and yeah, of course, maintain a good completion rate. So that's about the key highlights. With that, I will quickly hand over back to Professor Shiladri to talk more about the various faculty members who are teaching the various courses. So over to you, Professor Shiladri.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mohit. I do see some questions already coming in the chat box, so we'll take them up at the end. But something like the duration of the course, Mohit just mentioned, it's about typically three semester long, right? Every semester we expect about 2 courses. It's about a total of 6 courses. For freshers, well, again, Mohit will talk about it, but you can make from the title, it's EPGD. So postgraduate diploma means you need to have some sort of graduate degree. Okay, that's probably the basic minimum requirement. If a higher degree is no problem, of course, but some sort of bachelor's level degree in a related field of engineering or science. Okay, so that's needed, and that's related to the another question that or comment that I see in the chat box is that why this is sort of not open for students to all stream. Well, ideally we should, but the thing is that we need to probably curate the content much more carefully to be able to do that. And maybe it's because if you don't necessarily have a background in some of this, specific fields of engineering or science, and it'll be difficult for you to sort of absorb some of the material. But it's a well meaning suggestion. I sort of take it as a sort of a welcome it as a sort of a challenge, but also good feedback. So we'll look into it, something which can be a general offering. We probably can think about it. So I'll quickly move on and keep those questions and comments coming in the chat box, and we can take them at the end. So just to quickly talk about some of the instructors that will be offering this courses in this curriculum. In this program. So Professor Sandeep Anand, so I showed the C1973 EV powertrain lab early on. So Professor Sandeep is my colleague here at IIT Bombay. He's the professor in charge of that C1973 lab, and he's also the coordinator of the CPGT program from IIT Bombay side. Sandeep and me, we both basically work in the broad area of power electronics. So that is why I gave you this sort of initially these three verticals I defined, motor drive, power electronics, and batteries. Professor Kishore is again a very senior colleague from the electrical department. He is also power electronics, but motor drive and also partly motor design person. So he will be taking course related to the motor drive part. And then Professor Bharat, he is a colleague from chemical engineering. He has deep expertise in essentially battery technology. Okay, so various types of batteries, their modeling, their health parameter estimation, and things of that sort. Okay, this is super critical. Again, as I mentioned, battery is the heart in some sense. Battery and power electronics probably are the basic heart of the EV technology, right? Professor Prashant Date from the mechanical engineering department. He is, experience and interest in various types of fabrication, metal forming processes. So I mentioned there'll be a course on the manufacturing aspects. There are various things that you want to build. As you know, in India today, we have a vision towards indigenization, and not only about learning about the technology, but learning how we can execute those technologies independently and indigenously. So understanding what are the various types of manufacturing challenges and manufacturing opportunities within the realm of EVs is very interesting, because then you can even think of truly building some of these things, indigenously. Professor Zakir, right at the end of when I was just talking a while back, I talked about the grid side implications. So he's my colleague from the energy science department. As you can see, he works on areas like grid integration of renewables and power system dynamics and control and EV grid integration. So all those aspects that I said, that when you now think of an EV as a critical device of the future, not only for reducing direct tailpipe emissions and all the things that you are aware of, but the EV is also an asset for the future power grid. So there'll be a course in that direction on the grid integration aspects, which Professor Zakir will be probably be taking. Next slide are some other excellent instructors. Again, if you see here, Professor B.G. Fernandez is widely recognized as one of the topmost researchers in India and worldwide in the area of power electronics, but particularly in electrical motor design. His contributions have been immense. So this is an excellent opportunity, I would say, to learn from a person of his caliber. And so he came on the motor side, on the motor drive side. He brings years and years of experience and expertise of course, academic research, but having also closely worked with industries. Various startups have sort of again spun from things that has been discussed and evaluated in his labs. So again, exciting. I mean, you're absolutely a fantastic person to learn from. Professor Pawan Kumar Hari again, and Professor Ravi Prakash is again my colleagues from energy science. Pawan is again more on the electrical machines and motor drives expert. So he will probably coordinate with Professor Fernandez and Professor Kishore on the motor drive course. Professor Ravi Prakash again from energy science. I can see control of motor drives but also on the power electronics. So Ravi, in fact, will be working with me on the power electronics for EV system course. And last but by no means least, Professor Nishant Sharma, he's from the Industrial Design Center at IIT Bombay. Now, this is a separate department and an entity which looks at various aspects of engineering design. So when it comes to an EV, it's just not the design of the components of the power electronics. So that's of course something that individual subdomain experts like me, for example, I am a power electronics expert, Professor Bharat is a battery technology expert. But if you look at the system as a whole, then there are various design constraints and design innovation opportunities. And for example, there are specific requirements of where you can place certain components in an EV, how an EV needs to be shaped and so on. Look at things like aesthetics also. Okay, so these are all come within the broader ambit of design of the vehicle as a whole. If you are trying to again get a holistic understanding of the electric vehicle technology, then this course becomes super critical. So as you've seen, you have colleagues from energy science, from mechanical, chemical, electrical, and the design center. So it's very holistic, very interdisciplinary, and that is the key goal here. That of course, I talked about the two core courses, which I'll in a minute again elaborate on. But then there's this basket of interdisciplinary courses from various departments, which helps you connect the dots better. You go deeper into a particular technology, and also if you want to go horizontal and understand the broader spectrum, then you need to take something like this design course, for example. Okay, I'll probably let's move to our next slide. Mohit. Mohit, can you move to the next slide? Yeah. So quickly, I'll just give you an overview of those courses, or whatever I've been talking in detail. So it's a 6-course program. Okay. Each course is 6 credits, so it's a 36 credits program, and they need to be taken over 3 semesters, or roughly, three sort of 3 semesters every session, or 4 to 5 months is 1 semester. Now, there are 2 core courses, as I explained. One is an introduction to e-mobility, and the other one is battery technology. And then we have a basket of, I think, 5 optional courses as of now. Out of those, you have to take 4. So the 2 core courses are an introduction to e-mobility and battery technology. So the introduction to e-mobility is you get a holistic overview, comprehensive overview of all the powertrain that is there in an electric vehicle. So you will also, of course, you start even broader. For example, you try to understand and explain things like vehicle dynamics, and things like how much tractive power you need and things of that sort. But sort of you go superficially and slightly more into the powertrain, where exactly do you need what power electronics block? So this term, again, power electronics, if you're not aware of, this is one of the key verticals about which you will be learning in this course, and you will be able to appreciate why is it that this block of power electronics is needed. What are the various, and so this course is more on the why part, if I were to put it this way. You will understand the functionalities of why this block is here, what is its job primarily. For example, we talk about an inverter. Okay, so what is an inverter and why is it needed, is functionally what does it do, is mostly what you will get to understand. Now, how an inverter does what it does comes in a more separate, deeper course. But fundamentally, the motivation of having all these blocks, and what is their role, what is the critical importance of having that block, it should be clear. So the things like chargers and motors, what really does a motor do? You will probably have an excellent working knowledge of everything related to the powertrain after you have successfully taken this course. And also you can see it also mentions that various aspects of charging, various business aspects. So you just don't want to keep it technical only, related to electrical circuits and so on, but some various aspects of charging. And so you're plugging in your a car. So what does it mean with respect to certain requirements? And if you send energy to the grid, what does it do? Again, details of that comes in a much more detailed course later. But the general idea, the motivation, all of that are explained through this course. Battery technology, again, as I keep on emphasizing, this is central for EV technology to prosper. And again, for India to become independent, truly in this domain, we need our own sort of expertise, deep expertise in battery technology. So battery, is an electrochemical system. So we model that through some electrical circuits. So that's a battery modeling. So you will learn about battery modeling here, particularly, lithium ion systems, as you can see mentioned on the text there, electrochemical and equivalent circuit models. And that helps us to sort of, predict, for example, what is uh, through certain additional algorithms that you will also learn about about key battery parameters like state of charge and state of health. Think of them as things which tell you about how good your battery is today. Okay, so an example is maybe your cell phone battery. Okay, so your battery has a certain amount of life, and if you have a certain EV, of course, you want the battery to last as long. You want it to stay safe. So that is happens through estimating the battery's health and the battery's safety parameters. And you can again see so various considerations related to safety. All of us have probably heard news of EV batteries catching fire and things of that sort. So what sort of leads to that? What are the design considerations there? What is the role of something known as battery management system? Okay, uh, battery is again very central to what the EV does, and to make the EV work efficiently and safely. You need to have deep expertise in this domain. So that's what you would gain after having gone through this course successfully. So these are two core courses, and then we have a basket of five elective courses, Mohit. Yeah, out of which you have to take four to complete this EPGD program. The third and the fourth here in this slide, as I explained, are power electronics for EVs and electric drives. So we'll go deeper into what are those blocks that will be introduced in the first course that I talked about, introduction to e-mobility. Uh, Now you are aware of, to this point, like what are these blocks called, what do they do? But now you will learn about how exactly do they function. What is the fundamental operating principle of a DC-DC converter, of an inverter, of a charger, and not only the understanding how it works, but if I give you a spec that, oh, can you design, this is my car and I have a 3 kilowatt charger, can you design to spec? Okay, so once you understand and able to analyze how these things work in depth, you will also be to do the reverse. And the more useful thing from an industry perspective is to build things based on a certain design. So you can see, therefore, we'll delve into various real life intricacies after going from the basic theory and theoretical understanding. All of these circuits need specialized, in real world, they need specialized circuits known as gate drivers because you're working with semiconductor devices. So we'll go into, these are all, the technical detail part of it. But if you have to really get into, for example, if you're a starter and you're getting into an industry and want to build a, let's say, EV charger. So you have to build hardware prototypes, right? So that hardware domain knowledge related to not only understanding things in the circuits in the books will also be important. Okay, we'll probably look at. I'm able to talk about great detail about this course because this is the course that I personally will be offering along with Ravi. We'll probably look at real life designs from various vehicle manufacturers of the world, the Teslas and the Mahindras and stuff. A lot of the designs are actually in the open access, they're widely available in the public domain, but you can look at it and you can examine those details and you will have a very good deep understanding of the technology there. Electric drives. So the drive is the thing that the inverter is what really drives the motors, as I explained. But the to really run the motor the way you want to run it, that's a control problem. So, for example, if I want to speed up my car or I want to brake it and things of that sort, then that happens through intelligence embedded in what is more commonly called as a motor controller. Okay, so the controller is, of course, a combination of the power electronics, which drives the real physical motor, but there are various motor control algorithms, okay, which exactly decide what is the best way to operate or control a given motor. And as the motor technology slightly changes, the motor control algorithm also changes. Okay, and interestingly, there are various ways of doing this. Okay, so you will understand about all those various state-of-the-art methods and approaches to control a motor. And you will understand what are the various, plus and minus points, what are the challenges of one approach versus the other. If the motor technology changes, if you're going from a permanent magnet machine to a brushless DC motor machine, how do you, are you going from a no, there are various other types of motors which are also becoming popular in EVs, like synchronous reluctance and switch reluctance. Each one requires its own typical way of controlling. Okay, so that sort of control algorithm and you can see some of the technical jargons here. You will learn things like space vector transformations and things like that, field oriented control. Again, don't get too bothered if these terms are new to you. This will be discussed in detail, but the basic idea is, how do I control my motor and ultimately my electric vehicle on the road precisely to get what I need to do, which is to get the car moving as I want. Okay, the last three, I think, elective courses. Let me see. Yeah. Are grid integration, I talked about it, and manufacturing. So I did mention that as you think that as with greater and greater adoption of EVs, it sort of puts some sort of a load on the evolving power system. So you need to also look at things like what could be tariff regulations. For example, if you're charging an EV at a particular time of the day and things like that, what does that got to do with how can you design those aspects to make sure that the impact of EV integration on the distribution and the power system is properly managed. Okay, and again, you can see, as I mentioned, the synergy between EVs and renewable energy systems. As I mentioned, you can think of EVs as various distributed sources of batteries, and then as more and more renewable gets integrated into this in the future, the conventional grid has some challenges to negotiate. And that is where the electric vehicle technology, through something known as bidirectional power flow into the grid, vehicle to grid and vehicle to X and vehicle to home, there are various opportunities there and various operational and standards related challenges also, which again, Professor Zakir from Energy Science is going to be elaborating on in that course. If you're interested on this grid integration side, if you're a policymaker who is interested in this area, you want to understand what are the things that needs to be, how should standards be formulated, because this is a pretty evolving area, I would say, even globally. This is an interesting course to take. Manufacturing technologies, as I mentioned, everything ultimately needs to be manufactured. You can only design it and you can assemble it, but at some stage you need to manufacture things. So the manufacturing could be, as you can see, whether it's battery, right? Whatever goes into building of a battery, cells that build battery packs, solid state batteries, lithium ion batteries, and the various types of motor. And the motor has, let's say, a metal part or an iron part, or which sort of uh, uh, combines with the copper part, which we call as a winding. So various types of windings also exist, which will be partly be covered in the motor drive course. Primarily, of course, the focus of that course is in the control, but you will also get little bit of exposure, I believe, on the various types of motor technologies. So there you will see there are various ways of doing taking the wire on the motors putting the copper around the motor's winding. So how do you manufacture those things? Things which look really cool when you're trying to do a simulation, and look, I can get the motor running and get some really great performance benefits. But is that manufacturable? What are the manufacturing constraints, and what kind of innovations can you think of manufacturing to make some of those technologies feasible? Things like on the material side, for example, you can see, uh, soft magnetic composites and things like that. They have excellent material properties and great promise for the performance improvement in the motor. But if it's difficult to manufacture, if there are challenges there, then how do you negotiate those challenges? So it's, again, very important in some sense, because if you want to understand the implications and how do you take this technology forward, you would want to understand these things in detail. And finally, the last elective, I think, is on electric vehicles design and styling. Again, as I explained, it's not only about what exists inside the vehicle and the various subsystems like batteries, power electronics, and motors, and so on. But as a vehicle, if you understand the vehicle at a much more broader level, things like ergonomics, right? Things like aesthetics, and then that what constraints and what design freedoms and constraints does that impose on you? The kind of constraints and freedom that you would have in a normal IC engine car would be different in an electric vehicle car. For example, the battery would require a certain type of cooling. Okay, so what does that do in terms of what constraints that places on you, and what opportunities or innovation opportunities that you can exploit? And then there are things on the design process, or with respect to prototyping some of the models. You can see things like computer aided surfacing and clay modeling and things of that sort. These are all great tools. How do you build such a real physical sort of a demo model? So as you can see, a very important line emphasizes both the exterior and the interior design, okay, and how those things intersect. Uh, so if you are having interest in the overall holistic view, if you maybe you are sort of a system designer, or so you want to get a systems perspective into how the design of the vehicle uh, has implications deeper down into the engineering of the vehicle, then again, this is a really good course to take. So I think that's all about the course curriculum. I think next slides are for you to take up, Mohit. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Great. Thank you so much, Professor Ladri, for that detailed explanation. I think it was very helpful, at least in one understanding how different areas are coming together. And of course, I think you linked everything, fantastically well. So thank you so much for that explanation. I'll quickly, take maybe I think the next few slides will also answer a couple of questions around eligibility criteria, whether people need to come for exams. So yeah, on exams, it is mandatory for folks to appear for end-term exam at IIT Bombay campus. This will be once every semester at the end of the course, and we will be sharing the schedule before the courses start. So you'll have about 4.5 months notice for, in terms of planning your exam. So typically 2 to 3 weeks before the classes start, we share the plan. The typical courses run for 16 weeks, and at the end of 16 or like in cases it could be 15, 16, or sometimes 17, but roughly 16 weeks. And at the end of the 16-week window, there will be an interim exam at IIT Bombay campus. It is mandatory to attend. So for folks who are outside of India, you'll need to plan your travel accordingly. The midterm exams and everything in between will be online, so that's not a concern. But yeah, it is a mandatory part of the e-postgraduate diploma for students to appear on campus for the exams. There's also concern around timings. So typically the sessions would happen uh, on a mix of weekdays and weekends. For weekday sessions, typically the timings will be after office hours, that is generally after 7 p.m. IST. And for weekdays, this is for weekdays. For weekends, we the lectures would typically happen on one of the days, either Saturday or Sunday, of course, depending upon faculty availability and everything, so that you get one day of learning, and then you get one full day free to, of course, If you have any personal commitments, if you want to spend time on learning, so you'll have one full day available for that as well. Uh, yeah, so that broadly covers. Of course, on the fee part, and I'm sure you might want to learn more details, so you can go to the program webpage on Great Learning website. I think Great Learning team, if you can post the link, it would be great. And of course, there is some inaugural discount for the first cohort as well. So once you go to the webpage, you can leave in your details. Someone from the Great Learning team will connect with you, will explain all the details, and then yeah, and then you can, of course, make an informed call. Coming back to the PPT, so on screen you can see a sample e-postgraduate diploma that will be conferred upon learners who complete all the 6 courses and earn the e-postgraduate diploma. As you can see, this is a certificate from IIT Bombay, and it's equivalent to any other PG diploma from IIT Bombay. The only difference that this is being offered online, hence the prefix E. But yeah, it's a degree equivalent program from IIT Bombay. In terms of eligibility criteria, so candidates must hold a BE or a BTech degree or a 4-year BSc or BS degree in a relevant domain of engineering or technology. The reason is, of course, as Professor Chilabni mentioned, that it is a postgraduate program and there is a certain expectation of topics slash concepts that folks need to be aware of before they start learning. And which is why some of these backgrounds ensures that you have covered those concepts either as a part of your uh, undergraduate courses or during your work experience. And this ensures that all the basics are covered. Of course, candidates who have postgraduate degrees, either MTech or even MSc. So, if I'm not wrong, I think a combination of MSc and a 3-year BSc also works because the minimum requirement is a 4-year program, and anything beyond that is also fine. So, a 3-year BSc plus a 2-year MSc should also be fine. Or anyone who has completed a PhD, again, in a relevant domain of engineering and technology, can also apply. So I hope this answers your questions around eligibility criteria. In terms of the process, it's a very simple registration process. Step one is an application form. So interested candidates can apply for this e-postgraduate diploma by filling out a simple online application form. It'll ask you about your educational details, about your professional details, and of course, why you want to join the e-postgraduate diploma. The second step is all the applicants will go through a mandatory screening call with the registration office, and typically here, one of the faculty members from IIT Bombay interviews the candidates to see if they're the right fit for the e-postgraduate diploma, and this is again to assess the suitability for this diploma. And of course, if you cross that round, the selected candidates will receive an offer letter to register for the e-postgraduate diploma. And for those of you who receive the offer letter, you'll need to pay the registration fee within a certain deadline to confirm your participation. So that's the simple 3-step registration process. I think that brings us to the end of today's agenda. And I'll take a couple of questions that I noted down. So I've answered lecture timing. So I've answered around exams. Uh, Out of India candidates, as I said, you will have to appear for the exams, but of course you'll have sufficient notice and time to plan your travel. Um, yeah, exams. So I'm also taking questions from the Q&A window. So exams will be held on campus. Uh, Abha, yes, you can be eligible, but as we said, you've completed your MBA in finance, which may not be a relevant domain. That said, if you've completed a BTech or a BE or a 4-year BSc, or before your MBA, if you completed an MSc, then you could be eligible because there's a certain requirement in terms of topics slash concepts that you should have that you should have learned. And of course, there will be an interview with the faculty as well, where some of these questions may be asked. So it also helps to prepare for that as well. There's a candidate who's asking for eligibility on diploma in mechanical engineering and chartered engineer. Uh, I think generally diploma holders are not eligible, but given you have additional qualifications as well over and above the diploma, we can check this with the faculty and get back in case your file is eligible or not. So please write to us. When I say write, I mean you can, of course, go to the Great Learning webpage, leave in your details, and the team will definitely connect with you. And then they can take your case with the faculty. And in case the faculty believes that you are eligible, then you can sit for the program. Uh, no, the PPT will not be shared with the candidates, but this webinar is recorded and you can find the webinar recording on the Great Learning website. So, and I'm assuming that you should get a link to the recording as well after the webinar completes, in some time after we finish. So that's it. Um, Abha, BSc and then MBA in finance. Again, slightly different case than what we get usually. So please do connect with the team. We will raise this profile with the faculty and we'll discuss and get back if this is eligible or not, because it's a slightly different combination than what we usually get. So we'll need to check on this and get back. So yeah, do reach out to the team and we can check on the eligibility and let you know. On the starting part, so the first cohort of e-postgraduate diploma is starting at the end of this month. In fact, we have classes starting in about roughly 2 weeks from now. So for those of you who are keen to join this cohort, can reach out to the Great Learning team and then be a part of the registration process and get your and book your seats if you get selected. For those of you who are in the final year, you will not be eligible as of now. But if you have completed your final year, if your grade sheets are out, then I think you can apply. If the only thing which is pending is getting your degree, and there is no question as to, and if you have passed all your courses, then I think you should be eligible to apply. But if you're still pursuing your degree, you'll have to wait till you complete your degrees and then you can apply. I think there's generally a question on career transition and how is this going to help. And for that, I think I'd like to defer this to Professor Shiladri in terms of, and I think it's a general ask for candidates as well, that how can this help folks who are working in traditional automotive roles or maybe other roles to transition into a different career or at least grow as the industry grows. So,
Yeah,
Professor
yeah,
Shiladri, over to you.
yeah. As I mentioned, there are opportunities at every level, and because this is something that has enormous growth potential, and it's going to be driven by government policy. It's going to be mandated by government policy that EV technologies be adopted and therefore manufactured, assembled, whatever. So if you just look at it, there is going to be tremendous opportunity. And concurrent with that, as I mentioned, there was going to be a requirement for manpower, skilled manpower at the entry level. There's opportunities for startups. There's opportunities for senior people with experience in other related fields in industry or management or whatever policy making. So if you, or of course, if you don't have necessarily the core background, you have to do a little bit of hard work to come abreast with this technology. But if you're willing to put in that effort, I think there is tremendous opportunity. I mean, the numbers, if you see at the projected CAGR rate of EV, industry globally and India, is just mind-boggling, and therefore, for I can just say if you're a fresh graduate, a fresh undergraduate or a postgraduate, there are a lot of great opportunities. Big companies, startups in various cities, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, all over the country now almost, where they're looking for people with the necessary expertise in let's say charging technology or battery management systems or motor design and things like that sort. So if you have deep expertise in any of these areas, there is tremendous opportunities for you. So yeah, I would just not put a salary figure. I saw a question on salary. It depends
Yeah.
on what are you are looking at. What is your expertise level looking like? You can just be uh, pretty much go anywhere. I mean, uh, there are masters and PhD students who are graduating from IIT Bombay who are sort of maybe getting starting salaries of standard starting salary. I don't want to give an amount, but some of these things are also in the public domain. So I guess I can say that it's something like 30 LP or something is pretty common for uh, you know uh, master's level students. So the industry does value this kind of people with this kind of knowledge. So if you have that skills and expertise, it helps the industries. Ultimately, it helps the country, I guess, build up the big workforce in this area. Yeah, I'll put it uh, at that, and maybe we don't have any further questions, Mohit, do we?
No, no further questions. I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, so we can conclude.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for your patience and thank you for those interactive questions. If you have anything else, you can look me or any of my colleagues. You go to just Google us and you will find our email IDs and stuff. And any specific question directed at any faculty, please write to us, and we'll be happy to answer. Okay, any of your doubts. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Chaudhary, for making time and patiently explaining the candidates about the program, about all the courses, taking the queries. I think it was lovely hearing from you, and I'm sure the candidates also, I'm sure have a much better understanding of what the C postgraduate diploma offers, whether it's right for them, whether it's not right for them, whether they are eligible or not. So I think it was a fantastic discussion, and thank you so much for your time and your patience. To all the candidates, thank you so much for joining in. We hope you found answers to some of the questions that you were looking for, and you have a much better knowledge of what this e-postgraduate diploma entails. So if you are, of course, interested in going for the first cohort, it starts in less than 2 weeks from now. I think the orientation is planned for the weekend of 26th and 27th, and then the classes start right after that. So for those of you who are looking to join this e-postgraduate diploma, you should reach out to the Great Learning team through the online webpage, and then you can be a part of the registration process and follow the steps there onwards. And we hope we get to see some of you as we begin the first cohort, and super excited to start this journey with the faculty and with the other registered candidates, and look forward to seeing some of you as well. With that, we'll close the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, we wish you all a very good night. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.